The sun dipped low over the village of Umudike, casting a golden glow on the bustling marketplace. The air was thick with the aroma of roasted yam and fried akara, mingling with the rhythmic beat of the talking drums. It was the eve of the annual New Yam Festival, and excitement coursed through the air. Uzo, adorned in a flowing, colorful wrapper, stood beside her mother at their family store. She greeted passers-by with a polite smile, but her heart was restless. She knew her father, Nze Obi, had already agreed to betroth her to Prince Obiora, the Igwe's son. The thought of it made her stomach churn. As the night fell, the festival began. The villagers gathered in the village square, their faces illuminated by flickering torches. The Igwe's royal guards paraded through the crowd, ensuring everyone's obedience to the rules of the land. Suddenly, the sound of a flute pierced the air. The masquerade dancers emerged, their colorful costumes and intricate masks capturing everyone's attention. Among the crowd, Uzo's eyes caught the gaze of a stranger, Chike. He was not wearing a mask, and his bold stare made her heart skip a beat. Chike had heard of Uzo, the beautiful daughter of Nze Obi, and had ventured to the festival hoping to catch a glimpse of her. But when their eyes met, he knew this was no mere infatuation, it was something deeper. "Who are you?" Uzo whispered as Chike approached her, his presence commanding yet gentle. "A farmer from Amaigbo," Chike said, bowing slightly. "But tonight, I am just a man who could not resist the sight of the moon." Uzo blushed, her laughter like the soft rustling of palm leaves. "You have a way with words." Their exchange was brief but electric. Uzo knew that speaking to a man outside her father's approval was forbidden, yet she couldn't help but linger in Chike's presence. The next morning, whispers spread through the village. "Who was the man speaking to Uzo at the festival?" the villagers asked. Nze Obi was livid when he heard of it. "You dare to bring shame to this family," he thundered, his voice echoing through their compound. "I meant no harm, Papa," Uzo pleaded, her eyes brimming with tears. "That boy is from Amaigbo, our rivals. You will marry Prince Obiora, and that is final." Nze Obi's decision was absolute, leaving Uzo feeling like a prisoner in her own home. Meanwhile, in Amaigbo, Chike faced his own troubles. His family warned him of the dangers of pursuing a woman from Umudike, especially one promised to royalty. But Chike's heart was steadfast. "I will not give up on her," Chike told his sister Amarochi, who had always been his confidant. "Then you must tread carefully, brother," Amarochi said. "If the Igwe discovers this, it could mean war between our villages." Despite the risks, Uzo and Chike began meeting in secret by the Udu River, their only refuge. Under the canopy of moonlight, they shared dreams, fears, and promises. "I wish I could marry for love, not duty," Uzo confessed one evening, her voice trembling with emotion. "You deserve that and more," Chike said, taking her hand. "One day, I will find a way for us to be together." But their love did not go unnoticed. Prince Obiora's spies reported the clandestine meetings to the Igwe, who summoned Nze Obi to his palace. "This is an insult to my son and to our alliance," Uzoamaka declared. "If your daughter does not marry Obiora, your family will lose its honor, and I will consider it an act of betrayal." Nze Obi returned home furious. "You have disgraced me, Uzo. You will marry Obiora, or I will disown you." Torn between her love for Chike and her duty to her family, Uzo felt trapped. "Why must I choose between my heart and my family?" she cried to her mother. Adana, her mother, hugged her tightly. "Sometimes, my daughter, the path to happiness is carved through pain." One fateful night, Chike and Uzo planned to run away together. Amarochi had arranged for a canoe to take them down the river to a safe haven. But someone had betrayed them. As they approached the riverbank, torches flared in the darkness. Prince Obiora and his guards emerged, their faces twisted with anger. "So, this is how you repay your father's love?" Obiora sneered, pointing at Uzo. Chike stepped forward, shielding Uzo. "If you have a grievance, take it up with me." The guards lunged at Chike, their spears glinting in the moonlight. Uzo screamed as chaos erupted. Chike fought valiantly, but he was outnumbered. Uzo was dragged away, her cries echoing in the night. Chike lay bloodied on the ground, his fate uncertain, the dawn brought a heavy silence to Umudike. Uzo sat in her hut, her wrist bound with ropes as punishment, tears streaking her face. The betrayal cut deeper than the ropes biting into her skin. Who had revealed their plan? And what had become of Chike? Her father, Nze Obi, stood at the door, his face a mask of fury. "You will marry Prince Obiora by the next moon," he declared. "If you attempt to defy me again, you will no longer be my daughter." Uzo's heart shattered. Her mother, Adana, watched helplessly, her eyes pleading for Uzo's compliance to avoid further harm. But Uzo's mind raced, fueled by both despair and determination. Meanwhile, in Amaigbo, Chike lay unconscious in a healer's hut. His sister Amarochi had found him after the ambush, dragging his battered body through the forest under the cover of night. "Will he live?" Amarochi asked the healer, her voice trembling. "He has the strength of a lion," the healer replied, applying herbal poultices to his wounds. "But his spirit is troubled. Something binds him to pain." Chike's eyes fluttered open, and the first word he whispered was Uzo. Amarochi leaned closer. "She's alive, brother, but they've taken her back to Umudike. You must heal quickly if you are to save her." Chike nodded weakly. "I will not let her suffer because of me." Uzo's imprisonment didn't go unnoticed. The villagers whispered about her defiance, some admiring her courage, others condemning her rebellion. Among those watching closely was Neka, a widow with mysterious ties to both Umudike and Amaigbo. One evening, Neka visited Uzo under the guise of delivering food. "You remind me of myself when I was your age," she said, her voice low. Uzo looked up, confused. "I do not know you." "You don't need to," Neka replied. "But I know what it's like to love someone forbidden. I may know a way to help you, but it comes at a cost." "What cost?" Uzo asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Trust," Neka said cryptically. In the royal palace, Uzoamaka summoned Nze Obi and Prince Obiora to discuss the upcoming wedding. "We cannot afford any more disruptions," the Igwe warned. Prince Obiora smirked. "I will ensure she learns her place before the wedding day. She will bow to me." Uzoamaka frowned. "Do not mistake pride for strength, my son. This alliance is fragile. If it fails, the repercussions will fall on you." Obiora left the meeting seething. His desire for Uzo wasn't born of love but a need to prove his dominance. He vowed to break her spirit, no matter the cost. Desperate for guidance, Uzo slipped away from her hut one night, evading the guards her father had posted. She ran to the Udu River, where she and Chike had often met. Falling to her knees at the water's edge, she cried out, "O spirits of the river, hear me. What should I do?" The water shimmered, and a glowing figure emerged, a river spirit with eyes like moonlight and a voice like rushing water. "You are torn between love and duty," the spirit said, its tone both soothing and stern. "But know this, the path you choose will shape not just your future but the fate of your people." "What should I do?" Uzo asked, tears streaming down her face. "That is not for me to decide," the spirit replied. "But beware, every choice comes with a price." As the spirit faded, the river's surface stilled, leaving Uzo with more questions than answers. In Amaigbo, Chike regained his strength. Gathering a small group of trusted friends, he began plotting a way to rescue Uzo. "We cannot wage war against Umudike," Amarochi cautioned. "But perhaps there's another way," appeal to the villagers who support her. "They may rise against their leaders." Chike nodded. "We need to unite those who believe in love over tradition. Together, we can challenge the Igwe's decree." Back in Umudike, Neka secretly rallied the discontented villagers. "Why should our daughters be sacrificed for alliances that benefit only the powerful?" she asked them. Her words struck a chord, and murmurs of rebellion began to spread. As the wedding day approached, Uzo's despair deepened. She was adorned in rich, golden fabrics and heavy coral beads, symbols of wealth and submission. But in her heart, she knew she couldn't go through with it. "I would rather die than marry a man I do not love," she confided to her mother. Adana, torn between love for her daughter and fear of defying her husband, whispered, "Then be brave, my child. Fight for what you believe in. On the eve of the wedding, Chike and his allies infiltrated Umudike. Disguised as traders, they mingled with the guests arriving for the ceremony. Meanwhile, Amarochi and Nneka coordinated efforts from within the village, using secret signals to alert the rebels. As the moon rose, the plan was set in motion. The wedding preparations were a spectacle to behold. Lanterns hung from every tree, casting an eerie glow across the village square. Drums thundered in rhythm as dancers entertained the gathering guests. The villagers watched with mixed emotions, some dazzled by the grandeur, others silently mourning Uzo's fate. Inside her hut, Uzo sat in solitude, her golden attire gleaming faintly in the flickering candlelight. Her heart raced as she stared at the glowing pot Nneka had discreetly left earlier that evening. "You know when to use it," Nneka had whispered, her eyes intense. The door creaked open, and Adana entered, her face etched with worry. "It's time," she whispered, helping Uzo to her feet. "Time for what, Mama?" Uzo asked, trembling. Chike's small band of rebels crept silently through the village, blending into the crowd. Each carried a concealed weapon, a dagger, a club, or even sharpened farming tools. Their eyes darted between one another, searching for the signal Amarochi had promised. From her vantage point in a nearby hut, Amarochi watched the unfolding scene. She gripped the edge of the window frame, her knuckles white. "Come on, Uzo," she murmured. "Show us that you're ready." Nneka, standing near the ceremonial altar, nodded subtly to Chike as their eyes met. The plan was precarious, but it was all they had done to decide your destiny. Chike's small band of rebels crept silently through the village, blending into the crowd. Each carried a concealed weapon, a dagger, a club, or even sharpened farming tools. Their eyes darted between one another, searching for the signal Amarochi had promised. From her vantage point in a nearby hut, Amarochi watched the unfolding scene. She gripped the edge of the window frame, her knuckles white. "Come on, Uzo," she murmured. "Show us that you're ready." Nneka, standing near the ceremonial altar, nodded subtly to Chike as their eyes met. The plan was precarious, but it was all they had. As Uzo approached the altar, her legs felt like lead. Prince Obiora stood tall and smug, his beaded regalia a stark contrast to the quiet fury simmering beneath her composed exterior. "You look stunning," Obiora whispered, his grin predatory. Uzo didn't respond. Her eyes scanned the crowd, searching desperately for a sign of Chike or Amarochi. But all she saw were unfamiliar faces and the looming shadow of her father. Nze Obi raised his staff, silencing the crowd. "Today, we unite two great villages, forging a bond of strength and prosperity." The villagers erupted in applause, though the sound felt hollow in Uzo's ears. As the ceremony began, the tension in the air grew palpable. Nneka took a calculated step forward, deliberately dropping a clay pot that shattered loudly against the ground. The sudden noise drew the attention of the villagers, creating a momentary distraction. Amarochi seized the opportunity, lighting a small firework hidden in the grass. It shot into the air, exploding in a brilliant burst of light. Chike and his allies sprang into action, moving swiftly toward the altar. The crowd erupted into chaos, some running in fear, others frozen in shock. Uzo's heart leaped as she caught sight of Chike, his face fierce with determination. But her relief was short-lived as Prince Obiora grabbed her arm, pulling her back. "You think you can escape me," he hissed. "You regret this." The once celebratory atmosphere descended into pandemonium. Chike's group clashed with the palace guards, their crude weapons no match for the guards' spears, but their resolve unshaken. "Protect Uzo," Chike shouted, fighting his way toward the altar. Uzo struggled against Obiora's iron grip. "Let me go," she screamed, but his strength overwhelmed her. Nneka appeared like a shadow behind Obiora, striking him with a blunt staff. He staggered, releasing Uzo just long enough for her to run. "Uzo," Chike called, extending his hand. She sprinted toward him, her golden garments torn and her feet bleeding from the sharp stones underfoot. Their hands met, and for a fleeting moment, the chaos around them melted away. Nze Obi's booming voice echoed through the square. "Enough. Guards, seize them all." The guards moved swiftly, overpowering Chike's rebels one by one. Uzo and Chike were surrounded, their backs pressed against the wall as spears pointed at their throats. "This is treason," Nze Obi declared, his eyes blazing with anger. "You will pay for this insolence with your lives." But before he could give the order, Nneka stepped forward, holding the glowing pot she had given Uzo. "Do you see this?" she shouted, her voice commanding attention. "This is no ordinary vessel. It carries the will of the spirits, who have grown weary of your tyranny." Gasps rippled through the crowd as the pot began to glow brighter, illuminating the darkness with an otherworldly light. A sudden wind howled through the square, extinguishing the lanterns and plunging the village into near darkness. The pot cracked open, and a shimmering figure emerged, a spirit of both fire and water, its voice resonating like thunder. "Your greed and arrogance have upset the balance," the spirit declared, pointing at Nze Obi and Nze Obi. "You have forgotten the sacred bonds that tie your people together." The villagers fell to their knees, trembling in awe and fear. "Let those who seek love be free to choose it," the spirit continued. "But beware, those who oppose the will of the spirits will face consequences beyond imagination." As the spirit faded, its words left a lingering weight on the villagers. Nze Obi lowered his staff, his face pale. "Release them," he commanded, his voice hollow. The guards hesitated but eventually obeyed, stepping back from Uzo and Chike. Nze Obi's face twisted in anger. "You can't allow this, Egui. It's an insult to our traditions. It's an insult to defy the spirits," Nze Obi retorted. "Would you risk their wrath?" A heavy silence fell over the square as Uzo and Chike stood together, their hands clasped tightly. Uzo was happy as she thanked the spirit for allowing her dream come to pass. It was not an easy fight, but love has come to stay while tradition can also exist. As dawn broke over the village, the tension that had filled the air the previous night began to dissipate. The once raging fire of conflict was replaced by the gentle warmth of understanding and acceptance. Nze Obi, now a humbled man, stood before the villagers. His once commanding presence seemed diminished, as though the spirit's words had stripped away layers of pride and arrogance. He raised his staff, his voice calm yet resolute. "Today marks a new dawn for our village. Love and tradition can coexist if guided by wisdom and respect. Let this be a lesson to all of us." The villagers murmured their agreement, bowing their heads in reverence. Nneka stepped forward, her weathered face softening as she addressed the crowd. "Let us remember that the spirits are ever watchful. They do not seek to destroy our traditions but to ensure they do not become chains that bind us to outdated ways. Love is a bond as sacred as the earth and sky." The crowd erupted in applause, a sound that felt more genuine and heartfelt than any celebration the village had known. Uzo and Chike knelt before Nze Obi, their hands still clasped tightly. The king regarded them with a faint smile, a sign of acceptance. "Rise," he commanded. "You have faced trials that few could endure. May your union bring prosperity and unity to our people." The village erupted into celebration. The drums that had once sounded ominous now played lively rhythms, and the people danced under the rising sun. Uzo and Chike stood at the heart of the festivities, their love no longer a forbidden secret but a beacon of hope for the entire village. Ijeoma, her plans thwarted, quietly left the village, her defeat serving as a cautionary tale for those who would sow discord. Even Prince Obiora, nursing his bruised pride, seemed to understand the futility of fighting against the will of both the spirits and the people. As the day turned to night, Uzo and Chike stood by the riverbank where their journey had begun. The glowing pot, now dimmed, rested between them. "Do you think the spirits are still watching us?" Chike asked, his voice soft. "They always are," Uzo replied with a smile. "And I'll be forever grateful for their guidance." The couple shared a tender embrace as the river's gentle waves lapped at the shore, a symbol of the harmony they had fought so hard to achieve. Moral lessons from the story. True love requires courage. Uzo and Chike's unwavering determination to fight for their love demonstrates the bravery needed to stand against societal pressures and adversity. Tradition must evolve. While traditions are important, they should not become tools of oppression. This story highlights the need for balance between preserving customs and embracing progress. Power should be wielded with humility. Nze Obi's transformation from a proud ruler to a wise leader illustrates the importance of humility and the willingness to listen to both the people and higher powers. Unity is strength. The cooperation between Uzo, Chike, and their allies shows the power of teamwork in overcoming even the most formidable challenges. The wrath of the spirit world, respect for the natural order and spiritual forces is essential. Ignoring this can lead to dire consequences, as seen with the intervention of the spirits. Love and respect go hand in hand. The story underscores the idea that love is strongest when it is built on mutual respect, understanding, and the blessing of one's community. With these lessons in their hearts, the villagers of Umudike moved forward, forever changed by the love story that defied the odds and reshaped their destiny.